Hey guys, Scott here. Welcome back. Today is just a beer talk, general beer talk. Sometimes from time to time, I just like to talk about things generally about beer. Maybe something stimulates me from watching or reading about another beer channel, beer tuber out there, or something in the world of beer. So I sometimes will just have things. I don't have a beer in front of me here today. What I wanted to talk about is this is kind of an opinion video. A little bit about two of the major apps that are out there. And I don't even know if one of them is technically an app, but one is Beer Advocate, the other is Untapped. Now, this is an opinion post solely, so I definitely like to hear your opinion. Chime in at the bottom of my channel here. Let me know if you agree, disagree. You threw something at the screen. You gave me the middle finger while you watched it, whatever it may be. But let me start with Beer Advocate, all right, because I have lesser really issues with them. Beer Advocate, I usually see it more on an internet browser on my computer. I don't know if they have an actual app. You type in your beer, it gives you a grading system. Usually it's kind of out of 0 to 100, and you kind of get used to it, like, oh, it's a C plus beer, B minus beer. I find they're the better of the two, Beer Advocate versus Untapped, because you'll get the grade, so you get kind of an idea where it ranks amongst probably their viewers or their bloggers or whatever they have on the channel. But it also gives you little snippets about the brewery. You get a little snippet about the beer. You get a little idea of maybe what the brewery said about the beers, what to expect, like fruit and on the aroma, on the nose, the bitterness level, alcoholic strength, things like that. Did it win awards? You're getting chocolate notes. You're getting berries, lime flavors and aromas. So what to expect from the beer. And I think that's pretty good. The website also breaks it down that they rank the beers. Now, again, I take the rankings with a grain of salt, but you can put in, I want a German Pilsner. And what are the top 10 or 20 craft breweries out there that maybe you can get them commercially near you? Maybe you can't. Maybe you have to order them with the beers, and they'll rank them that way. Or, you're new to beer, and you're like, I didn't know I like Belgian Golden Strong or Belgian Dark Strong beers. What are some of the brands out there? So it's a nice informative way, and I really feel that website does more of a service to understanding the brewery, some of the beers there, or looking at it based on style. But again, and a lot of the main important information on there. The other thing is the people that seem to chime in there's a lot more people that seem to know a lot more about beer, and they'll actually use some of the descriptors in Cicerone and Beer Judge Certification Program about aromas and flavor, and so you can kind of get a really nice idea what the beer is all about. I don't know what algorithm you're using to actually create the grade. I mean, I take it with if I see a beer's, in the 80s, I know people really enjoy it. Obviously I've had West Vletterland 12, like I said, is about 100 on that. A lot of people don't like Belgian Dark Strong, so they may rank it lower, but I feel it's a little bit more unbiased as far as the grading system is concerned. Again, this is Beer Advocate is concerned. Now, I'll just stop there. So I would recommend you using that primarily. Now there's Untapped. Okay, now this is where people may go nuts, because I think sometimes, I don't know, I couldn't give you a percentage. Sometimes it's like 50-50. People say, well, this beer got a 4.2 on Untapped, or it had, sometimes they'll use Untapped more, or regurgitate stuff from Untapped more than they will from Beer Advocate. But here's the good thing about Untapped. It's a very easy app to use on the phone. Most people can get it. Again, I don't know if Beer Advocate has their own isolated app. I should look for it, but I don't think I've seen it. So that's why I think I just get it off of the internet browsers. Untapped, get a quick snapshot. People consume beers at any of these microbreweries or craft breweries out there. You get a lot of pictures they share. You kind of get an idea what the color of the beer is, what it looks like. Maybe they'll even share things about where the brewery is located. So if you're from out of town, you may get an idea. But where it falls thin after that, though, is you have people who are ranking the beers. And because people will say, with all those rankings, oh, this beer is a 4.2 on tap. The problem that I find when I look at this is not so much people having an opinion on beer. All right, everyone can have an opinion on beer. What I think's a 10 out of 10, you may think's a 4 out of 10. That is fine. The problem I have with it is sometimes, and there's actually a whole Facebook page called Pilsnerish, if you're interested, they make fun of some of these people, is that someone will say, it'll be maybe a world-renowned German Pilsner, which is not as popular here, especially in the United States. And the guy will be like, not enough fruit notes in the hop flavor and aroma. Well, you don't really want that. You usually want those herbal spicy. Or someone will bash the brewery based on one beer. So either they don't really know what the beer style is supposed to be like, and they go in there and they bash the beer and say this or that, and they don't really quite understand it. Or maybe because of that, they go there and they start bashing the entire brewery, and they start ranking them low and give them like 1 star or 2 star or whatever it may be, or even bashing the beer. So you can see their beer knowledge isn't there. Some will, same thing, like they'll be, another example would be something like, say like an IPA that's supposed to be like, have a certain amount of bitterness to it, or double IPA, you get the IBU units 70 to 100. Someone will say the beer is too bitter. Well, it's an IPA, it's a double IPA. The bitterness level, the IBU units, are usually very elevated in those beers. So they'll rank it like whatever, I think they're going by stars, like 1 star. And they really don't know what the style of beer is supposed to be like. Or, they're ranking Guinness. That's usually actually quite thin beer. It's not barrel aged or oak, but they seem to like barrel aged oak, and they rank the beer very low. So they don't really quite have certain working knowledges of the beer. And I don't want to sound like a beer snob. Maybe I am a little bit. But I don't want them to just bash the beer because of that. So those rankings I find not great. The other thing too is sometimes, someone's an IPA lover, double IPA lover, triple IPA lover, and that's fine. Everyone has their personal preference, but that's where their taste buds are, and they don't realize when they're having like a very well-made Munich Helles or maybe a Belgian double or a triple, and they don't really like that style of beer, so they rank the beer very low based upon just their taste buds. And the beer may be brewed very well, but they'll go on there on that Untapped app and bash not only the beer, but to a certain degree the brewery. And so it's just kind of like, I look at those rankings, and I have an account on there. Before I started doing my beer channel, I used to plug in to quench my desire to talk about beer and post about beer. I did that. So I'm not as a huge fan of with Untapped. It's good for where the brewery is located, snapshot of some of the beers. Sure, you take the other people's opinions on the beers, that's fine, but take those with a grain of salt. But definitely I think Beer Advocate for the beer nerds is a little bit better to understand the beer that's there, the rankings, more informative, I think a little more intuitive, and more descriptive, more objective descriptions of the beer. And I shouldn't even say objective. Sometimes there is some accurate subjectivity that some of these people know what they're talking about with the beer. That Untapped, it just seems a little bit more like the Wild Wild West, okay? Which again has value, but I just not my number one go-to. So anyway, guys, that's just my opinion. Feel free to chime in under Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Let me know what you think. I know it may not be a popular opinion, because I know Untapped is very familiar to people, and they use those rankings. That's just my 2 cents on it for what it's worth. Anyway, guys, to my next beer video, beer dissection video, I'm sure I'll have a beer in front of me soon again. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.